This is KVUE News Daybreak.
To this day, I still leave lights on for him. I still look for him to come home. I need to get this piece of justice and this closure for him.
A mother's desperate plea to find the driver who killed her teenage son. The message she wants that person to hear.
Secretary Tillerson gears up for a day of tough talks with Russian leaders. I'm Maggie Rulli, and we'll have the latest coming up.
And this escalated quickly. Central Texas slammed by flooding. We'll take a look at the impact the weather had on parts of San Marcos.
Good Wednesday morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us here on KVUE News Daybreak at 6 a.m. I'm Brian Mays.
And I'm Yvonne Nava. It is Wednesday morning. We want to welcome a new face to Daybreak.
Anavid Reyes is joining us today. Her first day as our new traffic reporter. Anavid, I know you've been in town for a few days now driving these wonderful Austin roads. What are your impressions of our fair city?
Well, I love city. I absolutely love the food. Now, the traffic is a little killer, but at least we have good food, you know, to make it all better. So I'm definitely excited to join the Daybreak team. This is definitely a great point in my career. So thank you for the warm welcome.
Yeah, we're lucky to have you. Your energy that you're bringing. I like it.
I'm outnumbered. I don't know what we need to get some more testosterone, some more dudes up in here.
We have all these Latinas on the desk.
What am I going to do, Erica?
I don't know, but you'll get through it, Brian.
Somehow.
Well, let's take a look at your forecast. This is what we're tracking for this morning. We are waking up to some patchy fog for some folks out there, so something to keep in mind. Also, temperatures a little bit cooler this morning due to that system that brought in, yes, a lot of rain yesterday, but now some cooler temperatures. Here's a look at the fog that we're battling this morning. The eastern counties Giddings have been fluctuating kind of from 3 miles. It was under 1 mile at one point. No dense fog advisories have been issued. Temperatures in the hill country right now close to 60 degrees, just a couple degrees off if that. Austin at 62, Leander 61 degrees for you guys, and the eastern counties kind of the same story as well. Here's a look at your daytime high, 78 degrees. 20% chance of an isolated shower. Let's take a look at the roads this morning. Anavid Reyes has the latest.
Thank you, Erica. Well, this is a quick update. This is a look at I-35 51st Street. Yeah, as you can see, the accident has now cleared, so no issues in that area. And so that's the basic story for the entire Austin metro area. We are giving you the green light. There's nothing really bad going on out there, so we all love that. Ben White eastbound I-35 to the airport, flying right on through. 5 minutes to get to your destination. A little slower on 290 westbound, 130 toll road to I-35, a 9-minute commute. That's it for traffic. Back to you at the desk.
Anavid, thanks. Everything is back to normal today at Texas State University after classes were canceled for a few hours yesterday afternoon because of heavy rain. You could see it there. The San Marcos River surged above its banks at Sewell Park, putting much of the park underwater. Student dorms also flooded.
Happening today, a final vote in the Senate for a bill that would give protection to elected officials who don't want to issue same-sex marriage licenses based on religious beliefs. As KVUE's Corey Coffin reports, the bill got preliminary approval in the Senate yesterday. Corey joins us now at the Capitol with more. Corey?
Good morning, Brian. This bill would allow county judges and other elected officials to recuse themselves from issuing marriage licenses if they have personal religious objections. Now, to be clear, it still allows the marriage licenses to be issued just by another official without any religious objections. That bill got full Republican support in the Senate and even one Democrat support with a 21-10 vote yesterday. Since the Texas legislature only meets every 2 years, this is really the first time that lawmakers have been able to respond to the Supreme Court's June 2015 decision on gay marriage. But some lawmakers, like Senator Jose Menendez, worry that the legislation will open the state up for more lawsuits. Here's what the bill's writer, Senator Brian Birdwell, had to say to that.
Our fundamental obligation, Senator Menendez, as I believe it, is to protect both rights. The right to the couple that wants to get married based upon the Obergefell decision, and the right of conscience as explicitly expressed in both the First Amendment of the United States Constitution and Article 1, Section 4 of the state Constitution. This bill protects both.
The spirit of this bill is exactly what someone like me needs. I've had numerous threats of lawsuits. My wife had to drive another car because I had not only media but people who opposed my position following us around, trying to intimidate us and scare us just going to Kroger in our community.
Since the Obergefell rule,
Other lawmakers, though, have pointed out that these positions, such as the judge you just heard from and the clerks who issue marriage licenses, are elected by the people. They argue there's no room for arguments on the grounds of religion because of the separation of church and state that the governing body agrees to. Now, after a final vote in the Senate today, it could go to the House for consideration. We're live at the Capitol this morning. I'm Corey Coffin for KVUE News.
Corey, thank you. 6:05 is your time. A Kyle mother is making a desperate plea 3 months after her 15-year-old son was killed in a hit and run in Niederwald. In December, a truck hit Michael Mintz while he walked with friends down FM 2001 near State Highway 21. Witnesses say the driver of a red Dodge truck took off after crashing into Michael. 3 months later, no arrests have been made, and the Department of Public Safety has not reported any leads.
As a parent, your job is to protect your child, and I couldn't do anything for him.
DPS says the truck had damage to the passenger fog light, side mirror, and passenger side front bumper. There is a $2,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. If you know anything, call Crime Stoppers.
Later today, lawmakers will take a final vote on a bill that would make it easier for sexual assault survivors to track the investigation into their attackers. On Tuesday, the House approved a bill that would create a statewide electronic database to track rape kits. That would make it easier for survivors to track their DNA samples in the system and make it less likely that samples will get lost.
The tracking system is a way to make sure that we keep up with that forensic evidence, make sure it gets to where it needs to go in a timely fashion, and that should help, for one thing, to address the backlog, but also allow survivors access codes so that they can know where their forensic evidence is in that process.
Howard says tracking the kits will be similar to tracking a package. The system will also tie into the national database, which will let police know if they're dealing with a repeat offender. The measure does not address the statewide backlog of untested DNA kits.
Well, one of the first integrated golf courses in Austin and the South will soon come under new ownership to help preserve its historic nature. Yesterday, the state Senate approved a measure to preserve the Lyons Municipal Golf Course, also known as MUNI, by transferring ownership from the University of Texas to Texas Parks and Wildlife. The university has considered selling the land or increasing the rent for the city to continue to lease it for around $6 million a year. But it's not likely that City Council will go along with the high fees. That bill is now headed to the House.
6:07 now. The White House and Russian government continuing to exchange heated charges over last week's poison gas attack in Syria. This comes as Secretary of State Rex Tillerson begins a day of meetings in Moscow, demanding that Russia withdraw support for the Syrian government. But that's not the only issue White House officials are dealing with. ABC's Maggie Ruley explains how Press Secretary Sean Spicer is now facing backlash for his latest comments on the situation.
The U.S. puts Moscow on notice, just as Secretary of State Rex Tillerson set to begin a tense day of meetings with Russia's foreign minister. The White House accusing the Kremlin of engaging in a full-scale and deliberate cover-up of that deadly Syrian chemical weapons attack, ordered by Syrian President Bashar al-Assad on his own people.
Frankly, Putin is backing a person that's truly an evil person. And I think it's very bad for Russia. I think it's very bad for mankind.
On Fox News, President Trump demands Russia withdraw their support from the Syrian regime. But Russian President Vladimir Putin continues to deny that the Assad government was behind the attack. The future of U.S. involvement in Syria remains uncertain. While Ambassador to the UN Nikki Haley has said the U.S. is prepared to do more, President Trump clearly states,
we're not going into Syria.
Not providing any clarity, White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer igniting a firestorm after he suggested that not only is Syria's Bashar al-Assad worse than Adolf Hitler, but that Hitler did not use chemical weapons during World War II.
You had someone as despicable as Hitler who didn't even sink to using chemical weapons.
Advocacy groups are calling for him to resign. Spicer has since apologized for his comments.
Secretary Tillerson says he's open to meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The two have a long-standing relationship, and Putin even once awarded him with the Order of Friendship. But today, that friendship is being put to the test. Maggie Ruley, ABC News, Washington.
All right, take a look at this. Over 100 wildfires are burning all across the state of Florida right now. Wildfires have burned through more than almost 24,000 acres of land and have destroyed over a dozen homes. The governor is now declaring a state of emergency. Florida's agriculture commissioner says this is the most active wildfire season since 2011. While they're dealing with wildfires, we were dealing with a lot of rain yesterday, right?
Yeah, that's right. Way too much Gulf moisture still being funneled in to allow any fire danger threat. For this morning, it's really just cloud coverage and really high dew points. This is the rain that we've seen in the last 24 hours. Folks just to the north of us, they got the worst of it. Over a foot of rain. That was a big story. The Austin metro area, hardly anything. Yes, we had some rumbles of thunder and heavy rainfall rates at times, but we only accumulated less than an inch of rain. ABIA temperatures 63 degrees as you're heading out the door, 62 at Camp Mabry, and there you go. Dew points are still in the 60s. Here's your rush hour forecast. Something we may be battling because of all the moisture is patchy fog this morning. Dew points will be in the 60s still. Temperatures in the 60s. This afternoon, daytime highs will be slightly cooler. Some folks may not even make it to the 80s this afternoon. I am tracking some rain shower chances for this weekend. I know it's an important weekend, Easter weekend, so I'll talk about that in the full forecast. Guys, back to you.
Erica, thanks. Just yesterday, flooding impacted parts of central Texas, so officials want you to be prepared and take advantage of a new state sales tax holiday to get ready for emergencies on the weekend of April 22nd through the 24th, so a weekend after this. Certain items like batteries, flashlights, and fuel containers will be sold tax-free. For a full list of what else will be tax-free for that weekend, head over to our website, KVUE.com, and click on this story.
Well, still ahead, expected budget cuts are already impacting school districts across the state and even here locally.
Now, educators are asking for your help. This morning, the simple things they say you can do that could have a huge impact.
And Facebook has come up with an easy way for you to make payments to your friends. We're going to show you the new feature that's ahead. I wonder if it's similar to Cash or other kind of apps. Maybe.
You'll have to watch the story.
Okay.